Hi, welcome to Holding a Hand Through Hell. I'm sorry it's been so long since my last video, but I've had some challenges. I I tried to do some edits and stuff like that, and it's a learning process, and I'm just like, ah! But I'm figuring it out, and we'll see how we get along. I'm hoping by the next time I post that I'm able to have an intro and all of that. Um, I wanted to let you know that in the description below there are some resources. One of them is the National Crisis and Support Hotline, which is 988. You can call or text that number, or even, I think they even do chats. And you get a crisis counselor that you can talk to and who can help support you. The other resource is NAMI. NAMI is National Alliance on Mental Illness. Um, it They offer support for both mental health and substance abuse. It is a national number. I put the link in the description below for their website for you to be able to reach out to them. They also have information and offer really good resources uh, for support groups and advocacy, and for both individuals and families. There's also an 800 number that you can call, or they also have a text that you can text to a number 62640 and type in helpline to that number, and they will text back and forth with you. They also offer chat. I'm really happy about all of this. I actually have a few friends who have actually called for support, and had one of them, her son actually called, and it is a very wonderful organization. I've taken their family to family courses twice, and they're free, and you get all this literature and information and support with other families that are going through similar situations, and you can talk and make a connections if you choose to. Okay. Um, I want to remind everybody that this is a safe space to be able to share and talk. And if there are any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and I will answer every one of them. Also, too, if you like the content, I would appreciate you hitting subscribe or like below. I wanted to start out this video with how I how I found out the information concerning the mental health challenges in my family. Back in 2008, well, I need to preface it just a little bit too. I've worked in healthcare. I worked in a hospital. I have seen and been around mental health professionals and hospital situations, and I did not realize the extent to which I would be finding out how about those things. In 2008, my son had a crisis and ended up on a hold, and it was very hard because when they do a 3-day hold, it's very startling and unsettling for families. I know it was for me. I know it was for my family. And every family member handles it differently. So I knew that in in my particular family on my father's side that um, that there had been some mental health issues. One, because of the previous story that I've talked about, which you can go back to the video and look about my great grandfather. But I also had an aunt and an uncle who had some mental health challenges. And I wasn't sure what they were, but I didn't even know they were mental health challenges, honestly, because it was just, um, it wasn't discussed, it just wasn't discussed. And it was like, well, they just need to knock it off or whatever, or I can't believe they're doing this or that. And it had nothing to do with that. Some of it was just because of the mental health challenges that they had to begin with. Like my aunt, I called my father's sister and asked what had been wrong with my particular aunt, and I told her that my son's life depended on it because, from my point of view, it did, and it did depend on what she said to me, and she told me exactly what my aunt had been diagnosed with, which was manic depressive, which is what we now refer to as bipolar disorder. She was hospitalized numerous times, had issues because of her grandiose um, ideologies, I think they call them, for spending money, and um, she would overdraft and write bad checks and stuff like that, uh, with her thinking that she had the money or that she could just write them, right? So, anyways, my aunt talked to me about it. She didn't go into a lot of detail. She went into some, but not a lot. But it helped because I was able to go in and talk to the doctors and let them know about family history, which is very important. Um, but also, in the same breath, I have to say that I was extremely naive. I was very open about it. I was very honest about it. I talked about it. I talked about it with my family. I talked about it with my husband at the time, and I discussed it with friends. To me, it was just like, of course, there's this problem. We need to address it. We need to look at it. We got to figure out how we can effectively help him and all of that. And by doing that, I opened up. Um, I'm just going to say a can of worms because I did. I opened up the discussion, and not everybody handles this particular discussion. And in my naivete in discussing um, the mental health challenges that my son was facing and how we could help him, and which I was in survival mode, right? I was in survival mode. So I lost a lot of friends, and I lost a lot of family. They didn't know how to support me or my son. Uh, and they had their own um, biases and, understandings or lack thereof, whatever. When you're talking about the brain, it's really, really hard because it's not like you're talking about a regular body part, right? You have critical thinking skills and stuff that are involved. And sometimes with that, when your brain is working against you like that, it's really hard for that person to be able to see um, or understand fully what's happening, right? And that's where you have trust and things that have to come along with it. And not every family handles things the same. Um, I know that I'm just a very stubborn person, so I was going to do whatever it was, whether I lost people along the way or not. And I did. It even affected my marriage. I'm not saying um, that that's the main reason why we ended up getting divorced. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with his mental health, but it was an added pressure that added to it because his father had a very hard time coming to terms with, and I don't even think that he's really still come to terms with it, but that's me speaking for him, and I can't do that. I can't even really speak for my son. All I can tell is from my perspective, right? Um, and that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing here is talking about it from my perspective. And my perspective, it's been very challenging, um, but I also am a problem solver. So I don't give up and I try to find solutions. And um, the stigma that goes with this can cause so much damage if you're not open or have an understanding or willing to change, willing to learn, willing to listen. You have to be able to hear the hard things and be able to say, okay, I see and hear that hard thing, but I still want to push forward and go on. And then being okay when you can't do those things. Um, like I said, I know that my naivete on the subject caused some hardships unintended, but still did cause hardships. And my son paid the price for it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna cry. But it was well intentioned, and I don't do that anymore. Um, I don't try to make excuses. I just try to find the best way to communicate with my son to feel like he's being heard and that I can help him through whatever the challenge is. By doing that, I've actually ended up helping myself because I, of my diagnosis of being bipolar as well, even though mine is not as severe as my son's, it's still there. And I have to allow myself that understanding and grace for when I hit those rocky roads. I don't want to go too far onto the to make the video too long. I have some loved ones who I've been talking to about this, and they're very familiar with the social media aspect. I'm very social media challenged, and I'm actually shocked I'm actually doing this, but here you go. I really do want the conversation to start and to see how it develops and to talk and build community and build understanding through talking and communicating and being respectful of people who have different ideas about the same thing, right? So not everybody is going to agree, and this is a huge subject, and there is no right or wrong. You just have to find your way for you as an individual, but there has to be from my way of thinking, there has to be a common ground somewhere. I don't know exactly what that looks like, and that is what I really want to explore. I know that one of the topics I want to discuss is conservatorship, which my son has been under twice. He's off of conservatorship. He was only on for a year at each time, but I want to discuss that because it is taking somebody's rights away. However, at the same time, when that person is at risk for hurting themselves, whether they can see it or not see it, um, they have to be protected, or it should be protected. And believe believe me when I tell you, having gone through the process, that it is not something that the courts or the doctors do lightly, and it actually takes a miracle or an act of God to actually have it happen. Um, so we'll be talking about that. I know it's been in the headlines because of Cher, with her son. And it is really hard. I want to talk about supports and how those can work and be very beneficial, and how what that kind of support looks like to you. How do you do that? I can tell you how it looked to me and how I was able to get support, um, and do that. In the comments section, what I would like you to do too is, if you wouldn't mind, if there's a topic or anything that you would like to discuss or have it be open, please write it down or put it in the comment section and we'll discuss it. I do at some point want to do a live, and but I want to get comfortable with this, and I don't want to push too fast because I'm already overwhelmed because I can't even believe I'm actually doing this. But thank you for your patience and your understanding, and I'm looking forward to future videos with you. Okay, everybody have a good night, and until next time, lead with compassion.